You know that feeling, right? You want to tell everyone how amazing your meal is, but you get stuck just saying, it's good. Well, today we're going to fix that. We're diving into how to talk about food with all the flavor and flair it deserves.
I mean, just look at this cake. Wow. The presentation is stunning. It looks completely mouth-watering. You can almost smell the sweet vanilla. But how do you put that into words? How do you make someone else feel what you're feeling? We've all been there. You take that perfect bite and the world just stops for a second. Being able to describe that moment is what turns a simple meal into a story, into a memory you can share with everyone. And this right here is the goal. We're going to bridge this gap, moving from a simple, it's good, to something that really paints a picture. It's all about having the right vocabulary in your back pocket. So, here's what's on the menu today. We'll kick things off with sensory words, then we'll jump into the kitchen for some cooking vocabulary. We'll even try out a recipe, talk about some fun food phrases, and then it'll be your turn to practice.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute foundation of any great food description, your senses. The secret sauce is really just learning how to talk about texture, taste, aroma, and of course, appearance.
First up, let's talk texture. This is all about how the food feels. Is it that amazing loud crunch of a fresh apple, or maybe the thick, creamy feel of a perfect risotto? Sometimes a soup or a chocolate mousse can be so smooth it's velvety. Texture is everything.
All right, next up is taste, and we've got to get more specific than just good. Was it tangy, with that sharp, zesty kick of lemon, or was it savory? You know, that deep, rich, almost meaty flavor. And hey, if something's not great, maybe it's just bland. It happens.
And oh, you cannot forget aroma. A dish can be incredibly aromatic, smelling of fresh herbs and spices, or it might have a bright citrusy scent, or that deep, smoky smell from a barbecue. You know, a huge part of what we think of as taste is actually coming from the smell. The aroma is what gets you excited before you even take a single bite.
And finally, appearance. Because let's be honest, we eat with our eyes first, right? A dish can look appetizing or even totally mouthwatering. And when a chef puts real care into how it looks on the plate, we call that beautifully plated.
Okay, so we've got the words to describe the food on the plate, but now let's step into the kitchen and talk about the action words that gets us there. This is going to make you sound like a total natural when you're reading or explaining a recipe. Now here's a little secret weapon for you, phrasal verbs. You're going to see these little two-word verbs like mix in or turn down everywhere in English recipes. Getting comfortable with them is a game changer. Here's a quick little cheat sheet for you. See, you don't just unfreeze chicken, you thaw it out. You don't just cut vegetables, you chop them up. And you don't just reheat your leftovers, you warm them up. Using these makes you sound so much more fluent. All right, theory is great, but now it's time to put it all together. Let's get our hands dirty, shall we? We're going to walk through a recipe for some amazing oat muffins and use our new vocabulary as we go. Okay, first things first. We're going to warm up the oven. That's our phrasal verb for preheating. And this is super important because a hot oven makes the muffins rise really nicely. Then we mix our oats and milk. You gotta let it stand for a bit. That's the key to making the oats soft and giving the muffins a beautifully tender texture. Okay, next up, we're going to combine our ingredients to make the batter. This is where all the magic starts to happen. So now we're gonna mix in our dry ingredients in a separate bowl. Here's a little pro tip for you. Doing this first makes sure the baking powder and salt get spread out evenly, which means you get a perfect, even rise every time. And hey, if you want these muffins to be extra aromatic, toss in a pinch of cinnamon here. It makes all the difference. Now here's a cool trick. We bake them hot for a few minutes to get that nice puffy dome on top. Then we turn down the heat so the inside can cook through perfectly. And finally, the hardest part. You have to let them cool down. I know it's torture, but it's so important for letting the inside set properly, giving you that final fantastic texture. And just like that, you've got these incredible muffins to share. And you know, sharing food is when the language gets really fun, as we move from the kitchen out to the dining table with our friends. So have you ever heard someone use a phrase like this? It's funny, right? English is absolutely packed with idioms about food that have, well, nothing to do with food at all. So when you say an idea is half-baked, you mean it's just not finished. It hasn't been thought through, kind of like a cake that you pulled out of the oven way too early. It's such a great way to describe a bad plan. Here are two more you're going to hear all the time. If a task is a piece of cake, it means it's super easy. And if you make something from scratch, you're using all the basic ingredients. No pre-made mixes. Which, let's be honest, always sounds way more impressive, doesn't it?
Whew, okay, we have covered so much ground today, from sensory words to cooking verbs and idioms. So let's do a quick recap before I set you up with a little food blogger challenge of your own.
So remember, these are your new tools. Describe food with all your senses. Get comfortable with those kitchen phrasal verbs, and listen for those fun food idioms. It's all about connecting with people over something we all love. Food.
Okay, now for the best part, it's your turn. I want to know, what is your absolute favorite dish? Go down to the comments and describe it for me. But here's the challenge. Try to use at least 3 of the new words we learned today. I honestly can't wait to read what you all come up with.